syllabus for the subject computer organization, and in unit 2 we had covered last time something called as DMA and DMA controller and DMA transfer, is it not? And as the unit test is tomorrow and we have to touch some part of unit 3, we'll be today covering this part, memory hierarchy and something about memory. But let us just look at what we covered in yesterday's session. This was our DMA controller. Hope you remember that. So in a DMA controller, DMA will be doing all the data transfer and CPU will be kept idle. For that, bus requests and bus grant signals are used. So this is the DMA select, register select, control signals, and these are the registers in the DMA controller. Is it not? Address register, word count register, control register. For example, word count will tell how many number of words are to be transferred and so on. As you remember yesterday's discussion, we had also mentioned how DMA controller will be transferring the data, okay, in the form of burst or in the form of cycle stealing, those two techniques which we had mentioned, is it not? So this was the visual which we use to understand how DMA transfer occurs, is it not? You have a CPU will be selecting the DMA, and bus request will be issued by the DMA. Bus grant will be issued by the CPU, and when it is bus grant is issued, it means that CPU is telling DMA that the address lines, data lines, and the control lines are in high impedance, that is open circuit. So this was all about yesterday's discussion related to direct memory access. Today's focus of discussion will be a topic from unit 3, and we'll be post your examination, we'll be going back and we'll be finishing off these two topics, IOP, CPU IOP, as well as Intel 809 IOP. Now coming to memory organization, memory hierarchy, main memory, RAM, ROM, and so on, let us use our Morris Monod textbook of computer system architecture, and let us focus on memory organization. This is our textbook from the syllabus, Computer System Architecture, 3rd edition by Morris Monod. So I think we have to go to a page called as 455, if I'm not wrong. We have to go before that. So this is our chapter actually, memory organization. So in memory organization, we have to understand about memory hierarchy. We have to understand about memory hierarchy. Okay. So try to connect with this diagram of memory hierarchy, wherein we have different types of memories being visible here. Different types of memories being visible here. What we can look from this or understand from this diagram, there is a CPU, there is a IO processor, there is a CPU, there is a IO processor. Now, inside the CPU, is memory there or not? Answer me somebody. Inside CPU, memory is there or not? Tell me. Anybody? Nisha, you can tell. Teja, you can tell. Is memory there in the CPU or not? Please answer. The answer can be wrong, not an issue. But somebody respond. Sanjay, are you there? Can you answer this, Sanjay? Okay. I am assuming you are listening to me, and if any doubts, you are going to ask me also. So as far as CPU is concerned, you can see in this memory hierarchy diagram, CPU is surrounded by many memories. Let us look at one memory called as magnetic tapes. and magnetic disks. Do we know magnetic disks? Yes, we know magnetic disk. What is magnetic disk? Magnetic disk means hard disk. Magnetic disk means hard disk or any other disk like CD or DVD, even pen drive, your flash memory. So all these memories, whether it is hard disk or whether it is CD drive, whether it is so all these memories are called as auxiliary memories. All these memories are called as auxiliary memories. Now, auxiliary memories are electromechanical devices. Auxiliary memories are electromechanical devices. And what is the characteristics of these auxiliary memories? They are cheap and you have high storage capacity. Their speed is slow. Their speed is slow in comparison to other components. In comparison to other components, you can treat the speed of this hard disk maybe in seconds. Is it not? Now, this is about the auxiliary memories which are in the form of magnetic tapes or magnetic disks, as you can see the heading here. So whether it is magnetic tape or whether it is magnetic disk, whether it is hard disk, whether it is CD drive, whether it is DVD, whether it is pen drive, all these are coming under auxiliary memories. Auxiliary memories are also called as secondary storage devices. They are also called as secondary storage devices. They are also the external devices. They are not the core component of the computer or central to the computer. Okay, central to the computer. What is central to the computer? CPU is central to the computer. Very true. CPU is central to the computer. Now, does CPU has memory? Yes, CPU has memory. CPU has memory in the form of what? CPU has memory in the form of CPU has memory in the form of registers. So these registers are high-speed registers. These registers are high-speed registers. They are very small in number. They are very fast. They can store very less amount of data. They have limited functionality. They have limited functionality. Okay. So it means if you want to store something in CPU, you cannot store something in CPU. That something can be instruction, that something can be data, because the memory in CPU is very limited. And what is the memory in CPU? The memory in CPU is registers, high-speed registers, which are very small registers, which are high-speed registers. So these registers in the CPU will not be used for massive storage or high storage or storage, but they'll be used for temporarily bringing the data and the instruction for execution. For execution, say for example, you want to execute a program. You know that for executing that program, you have to bring that program into the CPU. You have to bring that program into the CPU, specifically in the registers of the CPU. Now, it means not all the data, not all the instructions, not all the programs cannot be stored in the registers of the CPU. So what we require for storage memory. What we require storage in the form of memory. Storage in the form of memory. So whenever CPU wants to execute a program, that program will be brought into the main memory. Now, what is the example of a main memory? RAM. What is the example of a main memory? The example of a main memory is RAM. Now, as far as main memory or RAM is concerned, RAM is faster. But not as fast as the CPU registers. RAM memory is faster, but not as fast as the CPU registers. So RAM consists of what? RAM consists of ICs, integrated circuits. Okay, if you buy a computer, if you buy a laptop, you know that there can be maximum 4 slots for keeping the RAM. So usually you buy a laptop or a machine, you ask how much RAM is there. Okay, so how much RAM is there? So limited capacity RAM can be there. But RAM memory, What is the characteristics of RAM memory? The characteristics of RAM memory is that it is very costly. It is very costly. It is volatile memory. It is volatile memory. And the speed of this main memory RAM, the speed of this main memory RAM is in microseconds, is in nanoseconds. The speed is in nanoseconds. The speed of this RAM or main memory is in nanoseconds. So it is fast, but not as fast as the CPU, because we know the speed of CPU is in microseconds. Now, so what is the flow? What is the flow usually, or what is the purpose of a CPU? We know that according to the von Neumann architecture, von Neumann architecture says what? It says about the stored program concept. It says about the stored program concepts. So using that architecture as the base, all the modern computers are doing their task. For example, what is the task of a CPU? The task of a CPU is executing a program. Let us say the task of a CPU is executing a program. Now that program consists of what? That program consists of data and instructions. That program consists of data and instructions. Now, if there is a very lengthy program which requires a lot of memory, can I bring that entire program into the CPU registers? I cannot bring that entire program into the CPU register. Then where I have to bring it? I have to bring it in the main memory. I have to bring it in the main memory. Main memory means what? Main memory means RAM, let us say. So you are bringing your program, you are bringing your data, you are bringing your instructions into the main memory. You are bringing your instructions into the main memory. Now, after bringing your instruction into the main memory, so some part of those instructions or that data will go to the CPU and that will be executed. It will go back again. So you see this bidirectional line here from main memory to CPU. You see this bidirectional line from main memory to CPU. What it indicates that data and part of the program will be brought from main memory to the CPU. Similarly, after CPU does the execution, that same one goes back to the main memory. The same one goes back to the main memory. But you know that if you compare main memory and CPU, main memory and CPU has a speed difference. Which is having more speed? CPU is having more speed. Which is having more speed? Your CPU is having more speed. Which is having good speed but less than CPU speed? RAM or the main memory having the good but the lesser speed than the CPU, which is in nanosecond. We are just taking this as an example. Now, as you can see, because of this difference, many times what will happen is CPU may have to remain idle. Waiting for the data and the instructions coming from the main memory. So instead of that, what modern computers use is, something called as a cache memory or cache memory, whatever way you pronounce. I'll pronounce it as cache memory. So this cache memory is, what is the characteristics of this cache memory? The characteristics of the cache memory is, it is very high speed memory. Cache memory is a very high speed memory. Cache memory is a very costly memory. Cache memory is a very costly memory. High speed memory. Now, but it is a small memory. So now let us try to understand how many memories we have referred here. One memory we referred called as registers. They are inside the CPU. One memory is there called as main memory. They are near to the CPU. And one memory is called as the cache memory, which are more nearer to the CPU than the main memory. If you take these three memories, which three memories? Register memory in CPU, main memory, and cache memory. Which is the smallest memory? The registers in the CPU is the smallest memory. So naturally it is the fastest memory. Which is nearest to the CPU? Register is the nearest to the CPU. So the nearest to the CPU, fastest, smallest, very limited functionality memory is the characteristics of the register memory. The next fastest, next smallest, next costliest is the cache memory. Next costliest is the cache memory. So the cache memory, if you open up your computer or a laptop, you know that it will be nearer to the core, CPU core. It will be nearer, placed nearer to the CPU core. So that is your cache memory, which is a costly memory. So cache memory, there are various types of cache memory. Basically, you have L1 cache, L2 cache, L3 cache, L4 cache. So those categories are depending on what speed they offer, what capacity, storage capacity they have, and how far or how nearer they are to the CPU core. So that is about the cache memory. Now, coming to main memory, how we will remember main memory? We know that main memory means RAM. Ni system lo, ni laptop lo, ni hard disk lo RAM enta undi adugutar, right? So 1 GB RAM undi, 2 GB RAM undi, 4 GB RAM undi, 8 GB RAM undi, 16 GB RAM undi, ala manam cheptam. So this is our RAM. ఈ ముగ్గురిని, ఈ 3 components ని కంపేర్ చేస్తే, register or cache or RAM, you know that biggest is main RAM memory. Biggest is RAM memory. So if you compare these 3, slowest also is RAM memory. If you compare the cost, again the cheaper will be the RAM memory only as compared to these 3, as compared to when you make a comparison of these 3, when you make a comparison. But what is the common quality of all of these 3? The common quality of all of these 3 memories, that is the cache memory or the RAM memory or the register memories, they are all the volatile memories. Somebody wants to help me regarding volatile memory? Your RAM memory or your cache memory or your register memory, they are all the examples of volatile memories. They are all examples of volatile memories. Okay? Who will tell me the meaning of volatile memory? Anybody wants to speak out? Yeah, somebody? Roll number 73, can you tell what is a volatile memory? Roll number 100, can you tell what is a volatile memory? Okay, at least you tell me, are you listening to me? Put in the chat window yes, so that I'll be confident and I can go further. Okay, thank you, Himashri. So, good. Pujita has told that volatile memory means temporary memory. Perfect, Pujita, you are right. Perfectly correct. So, what is a volatile memory means? It is a temporary memory. Volatile memory is a temporary memory. Temporary memory means what? Volatile memory means what? If the power goes, the contents of that memory, whatever the contents are, their data or instructions or programs, they will vanish. They will vanish. So, it means we need some mechanism wherein we can store our data and instructions and program permanently. Wherein we can store our data or instructions and program permanently. So that place is our auxiliary memory. What is the meaning of auxiliary memory? The meaning of auxiliary memory is hard disk or magnetic tape or magnetic disk. So if you compare this memory with other memories, you know that this auxiliary memory is an electromechanical device. This auxiliary memory is an electromechanical device. What is the characteristics of auxiliary memory or electromechanical devices? They are cheaper, they can have high storage, they have slow speed as compared to that. The speed is in seconds. The speed is in seconds. So you are seeing here speed differences also. I am not telling the exact one from the literature. I am just trying to compare and tell you the difference. The speed of CPU may be in microseconds. The speed of RAM may be in nanoseconds. The speed of hard disk may be in seconds. The speed of hard disk may be in seconds. So this is what is all about these 3 memories which we are referring continuously, along with the magnetic tapes and the magnetic disks, which are the auxiliary memory. Now, what will be the flow? What will be the flow? Okay, how a program will be executed. How a program will be executed. Let us say Himashri or Nisha or Uday Teja or somebody or Sanjay, they write a program in Python or they write a program in what do you call C, C++ or Java. So you write a program. Whenever you write a program, first thing you will be doing is you will be saving your program. So whenever you write a program, I'll call that program as P1. So you'll be saving that program. When you save that program will go where? Whenever you save that program will be saved, let us say, in the hard disk. Let us say in the hard disk. Now, what Teja or Himashri will say, see, I have successfully written one program. The name of that program is P1. So that program P1 may be doing some scheduling algorithm or some priority algorithm, something. Some calculation it is doing, some computation it is doing. So this program P1 you have written. Now, after writing the program, you want to execute this program. After writing this program, you want to execute this program. What will happen? Where is your program now? Your program P1 is, let us say, in hard disk. Now you want to execute the program. You want to execute the program means you have to bring that program into the main memory. You have to bring that program into the main memory. So whenever you are executing your program, so you want to execute, let us say, P1. For executing P1, you will be bringing your program from hard disk to RAM. You will be bringing your program from hard disk to RAM. So this is how the flow will be. In the hard disk, your program is stored. From that hard disk, if you want to execute that program will be brought into the main memory. That program will be brought into the main memory or in the RAM. That program will be brought into the main memory or in the RAM. Now from there, that entire program cannot go to the CPU. That entire program cannot go to the CPU because CPU memory is what? CPU memory is registers. CPU memory is what? CPU memory is registers, which can take only limited data. So they will be taking, let us say, one instruction at a time. One instruction at a time. So one instruction from the program will be brought here into the CPU register that will be executed and it will be taken back. Now, there are two interesting things which you can observe from here. CPU has a direct line with main memory. It has a direct line with cache memory, but it does not have a direct line with the magnetic tape and magnetic disk and auxiliary memory. CPU నుంచి ఏ లైన్ ఇట్లా డ్రా చేసింది లేదు. CPU నుంచి ఒక లైన్ డైరెక్ట్ గా డ్రా చేసింది లేదు. దేనికి? ఆక్సిలరీ మెమరీ కానీ magnetic disk and magnetic tape కానీ. దాని మీనింగ్ ఏంటిది? CPU cannot directly talk with this. So these are which devices? These are external devices. So how the CPU will be talking to them? The CPU will be talking to them with the help of interfaces. But CPU can talk directly with the main memory and the cache memory. Now, what will happen is there is a difference in the speed of CPU and the main memory. So that makes CPU to remain idle for a lot of time. So to avoid that idleness, there is a cache memory which will be kept in between the main memory and the CPU. So the program was stored where? The program was stored in the hard disk. What was supposed to be done? The program was supposed to be executed. Now from the hard disk, the program is brought where? From the hard disk, the program is brought into the RAM. Now from there, instead of directly going to the CPU, some part of the program will be going to the cache memory, because again cache memory is a small memory, fast memory, small memory, costly memory. So some part of the program and data will go to the cache memory. Now from here, the CPU will be fetching one instruction, one data, and it will be doing the execution and it will be sending it back. CPU doesn't know the difference. Only thing is, what is the job of the CPU? The job of the CPU is to execute the program and take the data and instructions, from the memory. So as you can see, there are many types of memories being referred. Hard disk undi, CD undi, pen drive undi, RAM undi, ROM undi, cache memory undi, register memory undi. So these memories, they're different. They use different technologies. Okay, for example, these are auxiliary devices or electromechanical devices. Rest of them are electronic devices. Okay, they have different speeds. For example, the auxiliary device speed is seconds. The main memory speed is nanosecond. The CPU speed is microsecond. Just to differentiate, I am telling, not exact speeds. Now, also they have different costs. They have different costs. So, and they have different size. If you ask which is the smallest size memory, you will tell that register is smallest. Then next is cache, next is RAM, and next is hard disk. Size means capacity here. Size means capacity. Your hard disk can be 1 terabyte hard disk, right? Nowadays you buy Seagate or Barracuda hard disk, and the capacity of that hard disk will be 1 terabyte kind of thing, 1 terabyte kind of thing. Okay. So the other thing is cost. If you compare the cost, the cheapest is hard disk in this line, then the RAM, then the cache, and then the register. It means what is the costliest? Register, then cache is costlier, then main memory, then comes magnetic disk, then comes magnetic disk. So it means to facilitate program execution, we have to make use of multiple memories. We have to make use of multiple memories in the form of hard disk and RAM and cache and registers. So all these together, CPU does not have a difference. For CPU, this is one and the same. For CPU, what is that? For CPU, that is only memory. For CPU, that is only memory. So CPU perceives this as a single memory unit. CPU perceives this as a single memory unit. So there is one more interesting aspect. What is the interesting aspect? CPU cannot directly access the auxiliary memory. See, there is no direct line, but CPU can directly access the main memory and the cache memory. So to combine all of them to facilitate program execution, to help the CPU to execute the program, that combination is called as the memory hierarchy. That combination is called as the memory hierarchy. So what is memory hierarchy means what? Here I have written here. See, memory hierarchy means registers plus main memory plus cache memory plus magnetic tape, magnetic disk, like that. So this is your memory hierarchy. So I have a diagram also which I downloaded. From the internet. You can just look at the different types of memories here. The different types of memory. You have magnetic tapes, optical disks, hard disk, then main memory, that is RAM, then the cache memories, then the CPU register, So in this memory hierarchy pyramid, which is the costliest? As we go up, cost increases. Okay. Which is the cheapest? As we go down, cost decreases. Which is the fastest? As we go up, the speed increases. Which is the slowest? As we come down, it will slow down. So this is your memory organization or memory hierarchy. Okay. Now, and you can see that there is a lot of movement. Of the program. You have written a program. Sanjay has written a program, or Himashri has written a program. She saved it in the hard disk. From the hard disk, she wanted to execute the program. It went to RAM. From the RAM, it went to cache. From the cache, it went to CPU registers. From there again, there is a from CPU it went to cache. From cache it went to main memory, or it went directly to the main memory. So like that, there is a lot of movement of the data and the program. There is lot of movement of the data and the program. Okay. So, and there is one more interesting aspect. What is that interesting aspect? Nowadays, all the computers have the capacity of what? They are called as the multi-programming capability. They have multi-programming capability. As well as they have the multi-user capability. It means so that there is lot of movement happening between the CPU and the cache and the main memory and the hard disk, because multiple programs may be executing at one go. So all this work is to be done by somebody. What is this work? This work is, there are many memories. RAM memory, register memory, hard disk memory, cache memory. There are many memories. From these memories, the data and the program will be flowing from one place to another place. So this to and fro of the data, is called as memory management. This to and fro of the data is called as memory management. So memory management is done by whom? Memory management is done by, sorry. So this memory management is done by whom? This memory management is done by the operating system. This memory management is done by the operating system. Okay, there is an overlap. That's fine. So as you can see here, the memory management is done by the operating system. So with this capabilities, what will increase is the performance of the CPU will be increasing. It means with multi-user, multi-programming environment, with lot of movement in different memories, the number of programs which it can execute at one go can be increased. So this is called as the performance or the throughput of the CPU. So the throughput of the CPU will be increasing. The throughput of the CPU will be increasing. So this is what is basically all about memory hierarchy or memory organization. This is what basically is all about memory hierarchy or memory organization. So let us look at our book chapter, what it says. Okay. As you can see, the name of the chapter is memory organization. This is chapter number 12. This is chapter number 12. And in this you have memory hierarchy, main memory, auxiliary memory, cache memory, memory management, and so on. So let us look at the syllabus point. Let us look at the syllabus point. In the syllabus point, you have memory organization, you have memory hierarchy, main memory, RAM, ROM chips, memory address map, memory connection, associate memory, cache memory, data cache, instruction cache, miss and hit ratio, access time, mapping, virtual memory. So this is what basically is your chapter. This is what basically is your chapter. Let us look at our syllabus textbook, which is by Maurice Mono, Computer System Architecture, 3rd edition. Just let us go through this. So I'll try to highlight any word which I find out here in the book, PDF of the book. So the word is memory hierarchy. Now you know what is a memory hierarchy, or you try to remember this pyramid. You try to remember this pyramid. These are various memories starting from registers to cache to RAM to hard disk to optical disk to magnetic tape So main memory is communicating directly with CPU. Auxiliary memory means backup storage, secondary storage. Magnetic disk and tape are the examples. I am just taking you to the flow of this chapter. Okay. Memory hierarchy you have already seen just now. Okay. You have faster memories, smaller memories, cheaper memories, and their comparisons. So programs which are being executed in the main memory, they will be in the main memory. Other programs will be in the hard disk. Suppose you write many programs. All those programs will not be there in the RAM. Once you save them, they will be in the hard disk. They will be in the hard disk. As you can see in this line here, the CPU logic consists of registers is faster than the main memory. So that's why the processing speed of CPU is reduced. So to compensate that, we'll be using cache memory, which I told. Whatever discussion we had, it is just same discussion being mentioned here. Why we are having memory hierarchy? Because economics. Because as the memory increases, cost also increases. Access time increases. Storage decreases. Hard disk has highest capacity, cheaper, low access speed. Cache is small, expensive, high access speed. What is the purpose of a cache? Temporarily, it will be holding the part of the program and data, not the entire program. The entire program and data is placed at which place? The entire program and data is placed at actually which place? It is placed at the RAM. It is from that part of that will be brought to the cache. Part of the will be brought to the cache. As you can see here, you can see the main memory speed is in nanoseconds, 700 nanoseconds. Let us check it out. What we have mentioned here. Where is main memory? Yeah, this is our main memory. The speed is in nanoseconds. What is the block size of the secondary memory, auxiliary memory? So 256 to 204 words. What is the block size of a cache? 1 to 16 words. What is multi-programming? The multi-programming means CPU can process number of independent programs at the same go, concurrently, concurrently. Same thing which we had mentioned. Now this is our main memory. So as you can see here, main memory is RAM, and RAM consists of ICs, integrated circuits. It has two modes, static and dynamic. So here he is trying to differentiate between static and dynamic. Then you have ROM, then you have a bootstrap loader. So this discussion will continue at the next session. So this is what I wanted to convey today in this class. So what we'll try to do is we'll try to